Welcome to the Sugar and Strength podcast. I am your host, Kayla Girgen. And before we even dive into all things blood sugar and strength, hence Sugar and Strength podcast, I wanted to share a little bit more on what you can expect as a listener and also some of my intentions for this podcast. This is something that I've been mulling over for years now. I think maybe 2-3 years and counting. And now it's finally coming to fruition, which one makes me a little bit anxious, like starting something new. I love to procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate. So I really had to resist those temptations to sit down and record this first episode. So thank you for hanging in there with me. I am certainly leaning into that discomfort because for me personally, I love to write. I like to be able to pluck and move sentences around. That's a little bit harder in this type of format. So I'm coming out of my comfort zone. I'm hoping that I can pull you with me because as a dietitian and as a personal trainer and coaching people for, a decade or more now, I really have come to understand that there's an overwhelm of information. It's not necessarily more information that we need, it's sorting through that information. So I want to be here as a guide and a filter so we can take that information and turn it into action. And with that said, certainly there is no pressure as we're going through a lot of the topics throughout the conversations here. So what I really want to do with the podcast is first build a foundation. So you'll notice with the first few episodes, I just want to talk more about blood sugar, why I care about it, why I use CGM or continuous glucose monitoring in my practice, how you as a listener can benefit from that, whether or not you're using something like a CGM monitor, and really, again, lay that foundation for blood sugar, but then also strength, because as I mentioned, we have no shortage of information going in and out of our ears about what workout we should do, about what we should be eating. And it just gets really overwhelming. And essentially, I wanted to be able to step off of social media to deliver more nuanced information because with nutrition and with exercise, there is no one size fits answer. And it's something that I can't answer in a 60-second reel. And to be quite frank, social media as a consumer and as a content creator can be exhausting at times. You feel like you're on this hamster wheel of consumption and, again, more confusion. On the creator end, it feels like you're just a flash in the pan. What trends can I follow? There's trending audio. Now we're doing, carousels of this and reels of that. It's a lot and it takes a lot of time and energy. So selfishly, I wanted a platform where I could sit down, have more nuanced conversations and really bring different ideas and perspectives into things like nutrition and exercise and building strength and finding essentially what works for you. So that's why we're here. If that resonates, you are in the right place, my friend. One thing that really lit a fire under my butt was a friend sent me an article recently called The Death of Influencer Culture. And I'll link that article below in the show notes. But this is from Alex Manderstam on Substack. And she just talked about how people are really feeling resistant to things like luxury content, especially with our economy where it's at now. A lot of people, funds are tight. Again, this will be another free resource for you to be able to lean back on, but I get it. And we used to be able to scroll through and be like, ooh, goals, right? And essentially her article is how we get the ick from that now. It's just like, I don't want that. It makes me feel really bad about the things that I don't have. And we get envious. And that just really resonated me with some ways. People are craving more long form content like blog posts again. This is why Substack, I think, is making a really big entrance back into, or not back into, but really bringing that longer form written format back to consumers. And same with podcasts. Everybody has a podcast now. So I know that I was like, I don't want to be another person just starting a podcast. But I'm like, I also, again, want to have a platform that lasts longer than a 24-hour span on Instagram. So here we are. I'm thankful that you're here with me. And we will, again, build that foundation. And then eventually, what I'd like to do is pull in some guest experts and just really have some great conversations. So you can expect getting that foundation laid in our first few episodes. And then you will hear from me on more specific topics. I'm also going to be doing some AMAs or Ask Me Anything. So if you've had a question or a concern that you've been tooling around and you want it broken down, maybe again in a more nuanced fashion, send it to me. So you can shoot me your questions on Instagram. You can submit them if you find my link tree in the comments below. I have a AMA or Ask Me Anything box on there. You are welcome to submit your questions, and then I will categorize them as they make sense, and then we will do some Ask Me Anything episodes. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about your concerns and chatting through those as well. In terms of frequency, this, again, is something I've had on my mind, and as much as I really want to push myself to do weekly at first, I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on me. So I'm committing to 2 episodes a month or about every other week because I really want to focus on quality, not quantity. I don't just want to churn out junk. I'm doing that on Instagram or social media already. And I want to have something where you're like, wow, there was a lot of information. I'm going to save this episode because I will probably listen to this again 3 months down the road. I want to have that kind of content where it is really foundational. It's something that you can look back to and focus on that quality over quantity. So you can expect a couple episodes a month to begin with. And then my long-term goal is to get you some weekly episodes. Now you might be thinking, where does she even get where is she coming from? Why should I listen to you? So here I am. I'll share a little bit about my story. I would like to go a little bit more in depth. I actually talked about my husband about collecting some interview questions from you all. So if there's something that you want to know about me, let me know, because I thought that might be fun to have my husband on to do a little bit of Q&A format, and then you can get his perspective on the questions too, to just check me and make sure that I'm answering honestly. So you might get some guest appearances from my husband as well. But essentially, I am a registered dietitian. I got my bachelor's degree in dietetics from Minnesota State University in Mankato. That is in Minnesota. I live in central Minnesota. You might hear some of my long O's and A's as we go throughout our conversations here. So I am certainly a Midwest girl at heart. I was born and raised here. There was a short stint of time where we lived in Wisconsin and then we lived in Kansas, and we always find ourselves back here. We love the nature setting. I seem to attract a lot of fellow nature lovers and cat lovers and readers. So if that sounds like you, then I know we will get along just fine. I love to recommend books. So in my free time, I love reading. I love rucking. That's something that you'll certainly hear a lot about in terms of my fitness journey too. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my book is right over my shoulder here. Over the past couple of years, I've actually been working on writing a book. It's now out. It is called Ruck Fit. Can't even say my own book. Ruck Fit, How to Build Endurance and Strength by Walking with Weight. And this is one thing, along with CGM, that has really personally helped me battle that all or nothing thinking. So going out after high school and throughout my 20s, I always struggled with that all or nothing thinking, whether it was food, it was being really restrictive and then binging and all of that fun stuff. Exercise was no different. It was going to the gym for 2 hours a day, and then all of a sudden on the other end, I was doing deep couch sitting for months at a time. So I always floundered and really felt that tug of war, whether it was food or whether it was fitness. I could just never really find that middle ground, and it felt like it drove me crazy on the inside. And I'm certainly not immune to that nowadays. It's something that, every once in a while that pops up. But a couple things have really helped me overcome that in terms of food, and that is CGM. It helped me see what my blood sugar was doing. I was able to pop the hood and see beyond calories and macros, what I'm eating and what is my lifestyle doing beyond just counting things. So what does my blood sugar look like? How does that relate to my mood, my energy, and what the scale is saying? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of episodes. as well as rucking and strength too. So rucking, much like CGM helped me with nutrition, rucking was one of those things that helped me find this middle ground. I'm able to scale my rucks up on days that I feel like I really want to challenge myself, and some days I'm just going for a walk. So if you've never heard of rucking, you're going to hear all about it here. And essentially rucking is walking with weight. You might also see people walking with weighted vests now too. And I do have an episode planned to talk specifically about the differences between those two. So fast forward to today, I have been a certified personal trainer for almost 13 years now, on top of having my RD credentials. So for the past 5 years, I have been running my own online coaching business. And prior to that, I had always really worked in weight management. So I was in and out of retail and medical weight management programs, wondering why low-calorie meal plans weren't working for me or working long-term for my clients. And I was just frustrated at being bound by protocols. I am a very independent thinker. I like to do things my way. And I wasn't able to do that when I was forced into these rigid protocols. I said sayonara and I started my own business in 2020. I did kind of work in a clinic at that time while I was doing my own thing, and officially left healthcare in 2022, I believe. Gosh, maybe longer now. I've lost count. It feels like much longer than that, but I will say that I was among the other 100,000 people unknowingly that left healthcare. It was just not a fun place to be, and I absolutely love working in private practice. It is not easy or for the faint of heart. There's so many days I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it would just be so much easier if I could just punch in at the clinic. Somebody would tell me what to do. All of my patients are lined up. I don't have to worry about my taxes or generating leads and then doing my taxes. But needless to say, I absolutely love what I do. I love the clients that I work with. CGM is a big part of what I do. So when I am working with a client one-on-one or in one of my group programs, oftentimes they are wearing a continuous glucose monitor, which gives us lots of valuable visual data, but it also is a great accountability tool. Many of my clients are busy working professional women. They want to feel and look better. It's not vanity, but I get it. We just want to feel good in our clothes. We want to have energy. We want to have great blood work. And those are exactly the things that we are working on. While you feel like you might be doing all the right things or soaking up all of that information, sometimes you just need a little direction and accountability, and I certainly can't underestimate what that can do for your progress. So if you like what I'm hearing, or we get to know each other throughout our time here on the Sugar and Strength podcast, I'll always invite you to apply for coaching, whether it's private coaching or group coaching. I have both options available and would love to learn a little bit more about you. That is me in a nutshell, and I can't thank you enough for using one of your most precious currencies here. That is your time and lending me your ears. I am looking forward to our time here together on the Sugar and Strength podcast. Again, if you have questions that you want to hear about, please submit them through the links below. I would love to use those for an Ask Me Anything, and subscribe to get updates on future episodes, and I'll see you on the next one.